Good morning, everyone. It's Friday. So that means we've made it to the end of the week. Get a day off tomorrow and the next day, and we do it all again next week. So this morning we'll go over some algorithm basics, and then after that we'll go over JavaScript on the web. And then this afternoon we'll have a trivia party. We'll do some code reviews, and we have plenty of time to work on our assignments today. We have some specifically JavaScript assignments today. So we're moving away from CSS and connecting JavaScript to our HTML and CSS. Okay. So now let's go ahead and get started. So here we have some arrays that we're going to get working with. But before we do that, let's go over some basics here. Okay. Probably already seen the answer there, but what are some primitive data types? Can anyone give me an example or definition of what that means?
String,
A
which
string.
is text.
Okay. We have a string. Any other types of data?
Integers, numbers.
Okay.
Boolean.
Boolean. Why are these called primitive?
They carry one value, opposed to like an array is multiple values.
Well, yes, but more
They're
specific. Go ahead.
yeah, so they're the basic building blocks of all code within a language
Right.
as far as data types.
They're basic. Yes. So as far as data types go, these are the fundamental building blocks. Okay, they're simple, the most simple form of data, as Christian said. Okay, so let's go ahead and reduce this. Now, what about, can anyone give me an example of a composite / collection data type or data structures?
Arrays.
Okay. Anything else? Can you give me an example of a complex array?
Maybe a two-dimensional array or a three-dimensional array.
How about an array that contains a string, a number, and a Boolean?
Okay. Yeah.
So these can contain any number of data types and can mix and match data types. So for example, we have an array here, and the second array is an array of arrays. Get this var a here. Var a has 1, and then the number 2 in quotations. So technically that's a string. And then the third is a string that says abacus. Var b is an object that has the name string, and we're saying string should equal, or name should equal example, make example face, and so on. Yes, and as Christian said, this is unique to JavaScript. This is not true for all languages. So we're getting familiar with JavaScript and how it works, and we'll use this as a reference compared to other languages that we learn here at the bootcamp later on. Okay. Here are some other variables here. We have var c equals true, and then var d, thing 1 at A, thing 2 at B, thing 3 at ABC. Okay, this is an object. This is called an object when you see this colon here, and this having a value here. Okay. So we're going to play a little game before we go ahead and get started on this what we see on the platform. Okay, so I have a list of console logs here, and in the chat, I want us to predict what each console log is going to say. Okay, so here we have. Can everyone see this all right? Let's go ahead and expand this. Here we have an array. We're going to work with this first. Can anyone tell me what this array dot length should equal when it console logs?
5.
Okay. So I'm going to uncomment this. Oh, I have some other here. Some other stuff. All right. It was 5. Did I console log that 5 now? Array.length, print this. Here we go. 5. Okay. Now, how about this here? I want to what happens here if I say console log array at 5? What am I going to get there?
Undefined.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to get anything because there's only 4 indexes, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right. So we're going to get an undefined. Okay. So this here undefined is because even though the length of the array is 5, because we count the length by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the index counting starts at 0. So 1 is actually 0, 2 is actually 1, 2, 3 is 2, and so forth. So this 5 is at index 4. So if I say console log 4, I run the code, I'll get the 5. This is what this 5 is what it's printing. Not the length, but this one here. Okay, so we can get the end of the array by saying the exact index that we know it's at. But how do we grab then the end of the array if we didn't know what was there? Comment.
You can do array minus 1. So you can do like array dot length minus 1.
Okay. So if we say console.log array.length minus 1. Okay. And we got the index of 4. Right?
Yeah, I think we needed to put square brackets around the array dot length minus 4.
Oh, right. So you want to put square brackets where?
On the left of the A and then on the right of the 1.
You got rid of the 1.
Okay. So we have index 4 here.
It's because you got to put array in front of the array dot, in front of the square bracket. There you go. My bad.
There we go. So if we say array at array.length -1, we're saying we want the value of the array at the very end of the array. We don't know what the end of the array is, but we know where it should belong. So it's array.length -1. That's because length is 5, -1 is 4, as you can see here, index 4, and index 4's value is 5. Okay, is everyone following along here? This is a basic way to 10. Nice, thank you, Danielle. Okay, now let's go a little further into this. We're going to look into the types here, and we want to say console log type of A at 1. So what's the value we should get here?
Number?
String of 2.
Okay, let's type it. Let's get a vote in the chat. Now we have a mixed review here. Okay, let's see what we get. We're going to console log type of A at 1. So remember, we count from 0. We get a string. That's because 1 is actually at position 0, index 0, and 2 is at index 1. So it's giving us the type of value this is here. This is a string. Okay. Now let's do that for this one here. Console log type of A at 2. Now we get the picture. Okay. String. Easy enough, right? We just figured that out. Okay. Now, type of A. Specifically now, what is a type of A?
Array.
Okay. Right. It's an array, but it's more specifically here an object. But it is an array, right? So now let's go here into this one, console log array dot is array A. Oh, this is a little bit more complex. Let's see what this says here. Let's take a vote. Okay, Nicholas. True. This is checking if something is specifically an array. So we're asking a true or false question here. Is array is a way to check here in JavaScript, and then we go ahead and insert this variable name A, and we get a true.
So that's a built-in function. As an array.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a reason the A is capitalized in the first part?
That's just part of the way that JavaScript had built this inbuilt function.
Okay.
So it's asking if variable A is an array, true or false, essentially?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Nice. Christian has become a chipmunk. And he's morphing. He's an anamorph. All right. Now we have console log type of B. Let's see what we get here. Let's take a vote.
Dictionary.
Okay. Object. I hope you guys are not checking on your end. If you are, I can't find out anyways. So let's go ahead and run this. Object. It's called a dictionary in Python. That's the next stack here. Okay. All right, let's clear our console. Type of B here. Dot name. So here B, we're accessing name. So what is the type of B dot name? String? Find out. It's not running. You must have an error somewhere. The string. Yes. Okay.
Question.
Yes.
Can you even put an integer as the name of a variable? Like, can you put one variable 1 as the name, like equals?
Like within B, if I said 1.
No, like name the variable 1.
Here, as the right here.
Yeah. Is that possible?
Nope.
No,
I didn't think so.
Yeah,
you get this error here.
it has to be a container.
I just wonder because I guess it's always going to be string, right?
You can put it if it's mixed with a letter, A123.
But yeah, it'll always be a string as the data type, the actual variable name itself. But keys in an object, those can be set as numbers or other data types. But yeah, just strings for variable names.
And the variable can't start with a number if I'm not mistaken, can it?
Yeah.
So it can't be 1, 2, 3 A, it has to be A123.
Mhm.
Okay.
But you can put like these like 1, 2, 3, something like that as the key of an object. So other than like name, email, you can actually have another key that is like 1, 2, 3, and that could work. Yeah, something like this could work because where it becomes a key, they will cast this 1 into a string.
Okay.
But it's only about like where it comes to variable like ABC like this, you cannot make it with numbers at the beginning because they are reserved. Otherwise, they don't know how to run your code. Yeah.
Okay. So now if we cancel log the object A at 1, it'll become empty example face, right?
Yes. But when you try to get the 1 over there, because as I said earlier, like 1, they are going to cast it into a string. So if you want to read it like this, you will have to like do something like A and then square bracket and then I type in chat like this.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. No, yeah. Yeah. If Joshua kept it the same way without the quotations, it would print email or no?
Even if they don't have the quotation, I mean, it's not defined. I mean, like, if I don't think it will work if just like this because it's going to. Yeah, as I remember, you have to make it with the quote.
Object D on 68. Where you're saying A, B, C, but you don't have a B.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Remove the B over there line 68.
On 68. You got the array A, comma B, comma C.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
get rid of
okay.
the B. The B doesn't exist.
So
Right.
you can remove this one and try to add the quote back in the line 79 and it should work. Yeah, that's fine.
Line 79. Sorry, I'm mixing up the instructions here. So
Let's do
remove.
it. We move one more comma over here.
The keyword's not working now. So remove this
And-
comma.
Yeah, and now go to line 79 and add the quote back in. Yep, and it should work.
Yeah, but that's for array D.
Yeah. Yeah, this is array D. This is var D. We're looking for type of A, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was running the whole file and there was an error in that line in var D, and that's why we had to fix that. It seems like there's still a problem with this on
Oh, here,
67.
yeah. Just write the B into A for now so that it doesn't like yell at us.
Okay, so if I comment out this line,
Yep, that works.
strength.
Because it's printing out the example, what example face.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
A at 1 now. Okay, I see. Okay. Now let's clear this. Type of C. Let's take a vote on this. Boolean. Boolean. Easy enough. Type of D. B is not defined. Why does it think that I'm trying to do B here?
It's like you added it back to var D and you still don't have a variable called B. Well, you're gonna get a recursive, that's B and that's B, right? So you're gonna get a recursively nested object if you do that.
Okay, so this should be D then, right?
Yeah, I'm guessing this up here where you have A should have been B because you've got two A's.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't reverse it enough. It's an object. Okay, nicely done, class. Here we go. Type of D dot thing 1. What's gonna print now?
Would you mind scrolling up so you can see the what's inside? Okay.
Should it be an object?
Type of D dot thing 1 is an object.
Because A is an object.
What is A again? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's an
Yeah.
array. Gotcha.
Thanks.
Yes, now it's pulling out these variables here.
Why is there commas on line 66 and 67 opposed to a semicolon? Oh, I guess it's for all of these.
That's the syntax for JavaScript objects. Key value pairs are separated by commas.
Okay.
Because this is all technically, it's all technically one line. So although we have it on different lines for indentation purposes, this opens here and closes here. So the semicolon for this line would actually go after that closing curly brace there. If that makes sense.
Okay. Now let's go to the last few here. Need to make this text smaller. Can we all see that still? If I do this. Okay. Now we were at D at thing 1. We already did that. Now D at thing 1, 2. So here we're looking at D at thing 1, 2.
It's an object.
String.
It's a string. Okay. This is looking for D dot thing 1, 2. 0, 1, 2.
Oh,
It's a string.
oh, gotcha. Thanks.
Okay. Now D at thing 2. All right, so we have D at thing 2. What is D at thing 2?
String.
Object.
Object.
So let's look at D.
Oh,
And then at thing 2, what are we saying thing
Yeah.
2 is equal to? It's equal to B. B is an object. Okay, let's do 3 more here. D at thing 3. So we say D thing 3. What is this going to be equal here?
object.
An array.
Okay. Object. All right, let's go a little deeper here. D at thing 3's 3.
Define.
Okay. Hector says unassigned, undefined. Let's check it out. Undefined, because there's starts at 0, 1, 2, 3 is outside of the array. So that's not going to give us anything there. And lastly at 2, what's going to give us there?
Boolean.
Okay, let's find out. It's because I have something highlighted here. Boolean. All right, so D at thing 3, 2, 0, 1, 2. C, where is C? C is above here. Var C equals true, so that's a Boolean. So it's going to give us type of D dot thing 3 at 2 is a Boolean. Nice. And lastly, let's just console log D for the fun of it. So when we console log D, we get thing 1, A. And so A is 1, string 2, and then string of abacus. Thing 2 is equal to B, which gives us the example, make example face, and the email example at example.com. Thing 3, we get A, B, and C, which is this string, this here, and then C true. Okay. How do we feel about this concept of using JavaScript to figure out what type of objects here?
Josh, can you please send this code, all of it, on Discord
It'll be on
recording?
the recording and also on GitHub.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, let's go over a couple more definitions here. I won't ask you what these mean. In order to add and remove from an array, we have a couple tools. We have push, and this will add to the end of the array. Pop will remove from the last element in the array, and it will also return it. Okay. So remove from the end of the array and return that value. Okay.
Quick question. So would pop then like stop a console log like a return would in a function?
Nope.
It's just an inbuilt function here. So it's not a return, but it will return that value.
Returns only stop the function that they are for, not any other parent functions that they might be inside of, for example. Right? You know, return is only a, you know, kind of one function D.
Okay.
Okay. So now how do I change the value of a given index in the array? So we have my array at 2 here equals whatever I want, and then we console log my array. So let's see here. Maybe I didn't write enough for this one here, actually. Yeah, because my array at 2, I did not define. So let's skip over this one. And I want to go ahead and move on to the next section here. We'll come back to this if we have time. Okay, so let's go to the platform and talk about how to swap variables here. All right, so let's look at this one here. Var fruit equals apples, fruit1 equals apples, and var fruit2 equals oranges. If we say fruit2 equals fruit1, and if we console log fruit2 and fruit1, what do you think our result will be?
Apples and apples.
Okay, let's take
Apples, apples.
Apples.
apples and apples. Okay, let's take a look here. So if we paste it here, apples and apples. And why is that? Why did we lose our oranges?
We
You
set
reset the
fruit
value.
2 to equal 1 or fruit 1.
Yeah, we look as soon as we gave fruit2 the value of fruit1, oranges disappeared. So now fruit2 and fruit1 both are apples and apples. Okay, so if we wanted to swap something, it's not this easy here. How about if we do this? We have fruit1 equals apples, fruit2 equals oranges, and then we have var temp equals fruit1, fruit1 equals fruit2, and now fruit2 equals temp. So what should we get on this console log? Console.log fruit2 and fruit1. Hector, apples and oranges. Okay, is that the order? Is that your final answer? Apples and oranges.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's check this one out. apples and oranges. If we didn't do the swap, it would be oranges and apples, but now we have this temp here, fruit 1 and fruit 1 equals fruit 2, and when we hold this value in the temp, fruit 2 equals temp. So let me try to do an illustration here. I'm gonna draw here. Let's see here. So we have this person on the right, and he wants to give a big box to the person on the left here. Okay. And this person on the left here wants to give a big box to this person on the right. And the boxes are so heavy and delicate that they can't really exchange. They have to, this person on the right would have to put down his box in order to receive it from the person on the left. But again, the box is so delicate that you would need another person, you would need a third person to receive it from the person on the right. Okay. And then that's how the exchange can happen. He has to be the temp, the placeholder. So let's see here. So he would have to give it to this guy. Then he can receive it from him on the left. And the temp value can give it to the person on the left. Okay, so that's all this temp value is. All right. Let's get a status check on this, please. This temp. Fantastic. Okay, now let's introduce the idea of while loops. Okay. A while loop is a checker, like an if statement. But it continues to do something like a for loop. You know how in a for loop we have something that will say for I equals 0, and while I is less than 10, increment I while you do everything inside here. Okay. This continues to do something while something is not true. So while I is less than 10, then it will continue to increment. But a while loop is like an if statement. For example, we have this variable start here equals 0 and end equals 12. And it says, while start is less than the end, so while 0 is less than 12, I want you to console log start, this string start, plus the value of start, which is 0 right now, and then end, which is 12. And then I want you to decrease start by 2. Oh no, increase, sorry, start by 2. So start is now going to be 2. End is going to decrease by 2. So now end is going to be 10. Okay. And then it checks it again. It'll continue to check. Now, while start is less than end, right now, start is at 2, end is at 10. So it'll do this process over and over. Okay. If we did this on a T diagram, we would increase start by 2 each time and decrease end by 2 each time until start is greater than end. And then when start is greater than end, this while loop will no longer do whatever is inside of it. Okay. Do we all understand how a while loop works? You need to know that you understand this before we move on to the next one here. All right. How many people have not played Uno? I think everyone's played Uno, right? Uno is a game, and this is a reverse card in Uno. So without explaining the Uno game concept, this is just a reverse. So we want you to reverse a function here. Reverse an array, sorry, with a function called reverse. And so if we were given a string A, B, C, D, E, we expect to get back E, D, C, B, A. Okay, so we're going to write a function in groups together and T-diagram how we received this result once we write the function in order to complete this task. Okay, this could be a question they ask you in an interview. So reverse an array. There's multiple ways to do this. So we're going to break off into groups and figure this out together. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Okay, let's get started.
Cool.
Where's
Let's
Josh?
get started, guys. Welcome back. I'm looking for a group that did the function, did a T-diagram, reversed the same array, and if anyone, did anyone use a while loop?
We started with a while loop, but then we were like, we don't really need it.
Okay, it's fine to use a for loop as well. So would any group like to volunteer?
You can if you want to.
Okay, thank you, Dia. Would you share your screen, please?
All right, so this is what we have. So we have the original array, and then we created an empty array called the array reversed. So we have a function, and then we use a for loop. So we gave I the array length -1. Array length is 5, so -1 is 4. At first we had it just as a number, but then it just made sense to have array length -1. So what if, in case we want to add more to the original array? So for loop, let me create this. Okay. All right. So what's gonna happen is that I is gonna equal to 4 since the array length is 5. So we have I equals array length -1, 4. As long as I is bigger or equal to 0, we're gonna do the for loop. So I equals 0, it goes in. Array reversed, we push to the array reversed the value of array 0. So array I equals A, so we push to it. So now array reversed has the value. Oh, sorry. So array at 4, because I is 4. So array at 4 is E, so we push E to array reversed. Okay, and then we go back into the loop, we reduce 1, so I equals 3 now. Sorry, 4, 3. So array at index 3 is D, so we push D to the new array. Yeah, and now I is 2. At 2, the original array at 2 is C, so we push C to the new array, and then this would become 2, 1. So array at 1 is B, So we would push B to the new array. And then this is 0. So we're still meeting the requirements of the for loop. Where 0 was A. So we push A. And then that's it. We exit out of the for loop. You have to call the function for it to work.
Okay.
And the console logged it. The console will print this.
Okay. Great.
Yep.
All right. So you return a var r underscore reversed, and you push to this r reversed.
Correct.
Could you possibly do this using the same exact array?
I think using the exact same one.
Yeah. So you have, r underscore reversed is a new variable that you pushed everything to.
Correct.
And you console logged it at the end. All right. But if I'm going to just point out and be nitpicky here. So when we receive r in the function, we could also return r in a reversed order.
Yeah.
How would we do that?
So I think I would just change I, and then push. So like, let's say I would put I at 3.
Okay.
So at 3, and it goes down from here. So it starts at 3. Array at 3 is going to be D, and I'm going to push it. So that would put it ahead of the E, probably.
So this is where we want to use their temp value to swap, because as soon as you push one, you don't want to lose the other value.
Yeah.
So I can show you an example of this. I'll push this into the GitHub as well, so we can all have this as a reference. But good job, guys. Did anyone do it any differently?
Yeah, we did. We used a return like you suggested.
Okay. Did you return the same array?
No, reversed.
Okay. So we all use a temp value or another variable to return the reversed array. So we did it. You guys did it. But if we're going to be specific here, we want to return the same array in a reversed order. So this may be something that in an interview, you're able to figure out the concept, but if the interviewer wants a specific, then they will demand that you figure out how to do that. So let's go ahead and let me share my screen for a brief moment, and then we'll go ahead and close this out. Look at this one here that I have unhighlighted here. So we have array, okay, and then we have a temp variable, and then we have index, and then as we loop through this array, we increase index, and then we say temp equals array at index, which starts at 0. Array at index equals array at array length minus index minus 1. And then array at array length minus index minus 1 equals temp. So we do the swap this way. Okay, and I'll go ahead and push this to the GitHub so you guys can analyze this in deeper view. We also have a way to do it. This is, I missed the return here and calling the function, but I think you guys know how to do that here. So I would have to do something like this, return R. Okay, we have an array, we have this temp, we have the start at 0, and the end we say array length divided by 2, and while start is less than the end, then we say temp equals array at start equals array at array dot length minus start minus 1, and array at array dot length minus start minus 1 equals temp, and then we increase start by 1. So here's another way to do it, using a while loop and temp. Okay,
I have a question, Josh.
Yes.
The first one, is that the same as maybe creating like a temporary array, like feeding it into the temporary array and then renaming that the first array as the temporary array? So
The
like
first
saying,
one, which one are you talking about here?
like that one right there where your cursor is, like
Oh,
in the
okay, this
middle.
one here. This one here.
No, the one below it. You see how you have like temp equals R index, and so those 3 lines right there in the for loop.
Uh-huh.
What if you did like kind of like you did you know, like you push it into a temporary array and then you relabel the temporary array, you give that value to the original array.
You could do that as well. Yeah, there's multiple
Is that
ways
the
to do it.
same?
It's
And-
not
and-
the same, because there's 2 approaches. Is one is you're making a new array, or the other is reversing the original array, right? There's 2 very different situations, and one's not necessarily better than the other. You have to determine which one is the right one for your context. Sometimes you want to return a brand new array. Sometimes you want to reverse the original array, right? So the context of the situation you need to develop this algorithm for is going to determine which approach is better, right? So if you don't have that context, either is fine. Usually you'll have that context on what it wants you to return. Does it want you to return the original array or a brand new array? So
what do
even if
you normally see in an interview?
So it really depends. Again, it's really context dependent. Well, what I will mention is we have this concept of pure functions, which you'll learn more about in your JavaScript stack, which essentially means that our function should always essentially return values, and they should only interact with values that are passed in as parameters, right? And so for that idea of a pure function, we would generally create a new one, unless we accepted the array as, you know, a parameter to the function, and then we return that original one. But again, it really depends.
I think he was asking, maybe I'm wrong, Nicholas, but I think he was asking if you get the array and you have like a reversed array, could you make that original array equal to the reversed array and still consider that
but again, that's creating a new array, right? And so that's, again, there's the 2 different situations. Like
So
if you
basically what you see in a function, these are very much like just a temporary variable that is only used in this function. So we got the R as something very much like an item inside the factory. Okay, so but the problem is like when we try to go into the function, let's say you want to change some value, what we would usually do is like outside this function, we'll have another variable. Let's say we are trying to change something like var like real array equals to like something like this. And then after that, you run the function. And when you run a function, what I would do is something like this, will R, and then equals to the reverse array.
Yeah.
So the difference between both approaches is, and this will be something you guys learn a little bit later, is determining how much memory you're using up. So when you create a whole new variable that holds the reversed array, it could be a long array. Imagine there's a huge amount of data that you're parsing through that you want to reverse. And so if you have a temporary variable that holds a long value, then you're asking the computer to use more data. You know, it's not so essential now because we can use plenty of data now. It's not as expensive. But it is something that they might ask you, how can you do this function using less data? And that's the purpose of using a temp variable here to swap the values. You're using less memory for data. But that's not something to, you know, think about much now. Just think about how to use a temp variable to swap, and how to use a while loop. So that was the point of today. But great job, guys. Let's go ahead and take a break now. Does anyone have any questions?
Hey Joshua, I do have a question actually.
Yes.
You spoke right now about memory and stuff when it comes down to these type of like code.
Uh-huh.
Are we gonna eventually, once we get to JavaScript, talk about
Yes.
like memory and stuff like
Yes.
that?
Yes. Yes. We'll talk about memory. We'll talk about concepts of like O of n squared, speed, nested for loops. So there's better ways to write functions. There's multiple ways to approach the same problem, but there's always a more efficient way in terms of memory and speed. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, cool. All right, guys, let's go ahead and does anyone else have any questions? Good questions so far. Okay, if not, let's go ahead and move forward. And you guys have a great break. We'll meet in 10 minutes from now.
Thank you.